Hi, artists of the world. I'm Natalia from Yes Art Marketing, and on this channel, I share practical ways to grow your art business, sell more work, and build a creative life that actually feels sustainable. So, if that's something that you would like more help with, feel free to subscribe. Today, I want to talk about something that I think almost every artist experiences at some point, but very few people like to admit. It's not a nice thing to admit. It's self-sabotage. I know it's quite a dramatic word, and it almost sounds like we're all secretly trying to ruin our own success, but honestly, I don't think that that's what's happening. I don't think most artists wake up in the morning thinking, how can I make sure my art business never grows? Yeah, quite the opposite. Most artists genuinely want to succeed. They want more collectors. They want to feel confident about talking about their work. They want to post consistently, sell more paintings, build an audience, create a business that allows them to keep making art. Yeah, quit their 9 to 5 that they hate. The problem is that our brains are incredibly good at protecting us from discomfort. And unfortunately, almost everything that helps us grow as artists, as entrepreneurs, comes with at least a little bit of discomfort attached to it. Showing your face on camera is uncomfortable. Trying a new content style is uncomfortable. Sending an email to a gallery, increasing your prices, launching something new, all of that is stressful. And our brains don't necessarily distinguish between physical danger and emotional discomfort very well. They simply notice that something feels scary, unfamiliar, or uncertain, and they very gently suggest that maybe today isn't the best day to do it. And because our brains are clever, they rarely present this as a fear. They present it as logic, as perfectly reasonable explanation for why we should wait just a little bit longer. I know this because I've done every single thing I'm about to talk about. I've procrastinated by doing research. I've convinced myself that I couldn't make videos because my filming setup wasn't good enough. I repeated the same content over and over because trying something new felt risky, and I've hidden behind perfectionism, and I've absolutely talked myself out of opportunities that would probably have helped me grow. So this isn't me pointing fingers. I'm not sitting here saying, you self-sabotager. This is me describing things that I've had to catch myself doing over and over again, and honestly, I still catch myself doing some of them today. The first form of self-sabotage I see all the time is procrastination disguised as productivity or research. This one is incredibly sneaky because it feels like you're working. Yeah, you're researching, you're watching tutorials, you're listening to podcasts, you're scrolling through Instagram looking for inspiration, you're reorganizing your studio or your cloud, yeah, or your files on your computer, you're making beautiful plans in your notebook, you're redesigning your website for the fifth time. Who needs that? And at the end of the day, you're exhausted and nothing happened, nothing moved forward, nothing changed, nothing got done. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong, research is important, learning is important, planning, all of that is important. It needs to get done. But the problem is that when those things replace taking action, because researching doesn't expose you to judgment, publishing does. Planning doesn't expose you to rejection, but sending the email, selling something, trying to sell something does. Our brains naturally gravitate towards the version that feels productive without making us vulnerable. The second type of self-sabotage is repeating the same thing simply because it's familiar. I've done this, and I see this particularly often with the content. An artist has been making the same style of process reels for 6 months. They're getting almost no engagement. They're not bringing in followers. They're not attracting collectors. And yet they keep making exactly the same thing not because they genuinely believe it's working, but because they know how to do it. It's familiar, it's safe. They know that from this video, they may get their 300 views and that'll be it. Trying something new introduces uncertainty. What if I spend 3 hours of doing something new and it's not gonna work? What if this new idea performs worse? Yeah, what if I waste my time? What if people don't like it? What if it feels awkward? What if it's gonna finally break me and I will lose my motivation completely? Yeah. So instead, we stay with what we already know, even when we know that it's not producing the results we want. I once read that our brains often prefer predictable disappointment over uncertain possibility, and that blew my mind. That's such a powerful way of looking at it. So sometimes staying stuck feels safer, feels better than risking change. And the third way to self-sabotage is hiding behind excuses that sound completely reasonable. I don't have enough time. My studio isn't nice enough. I'll start when I have a better camera. I'll start after I finish this collection. I'll start after the holidays. I'll start on Monday. Now, before anyone misunderstands me, of course, some of these things are real obstacles. Not everything is an excuse. People have jobs. Life gets busy. You have to do your work that pays you bills before risking spending your time on something that may not pay your bills yet. Yeah. Children, they own our time. Yeah. Health issues, limited time. I'm not saying every excuse is fake. What I'm saying is that it's worth asking yourself whether the obstacle is genuinely stopping you or whether it's become a convenient place for your brain to hide. Let's challenge that, because I've seen artists create incredible content from tiny apartments with terrible lighting, and I've seen artists build successful businesses while working full-time jobs. Perfection has never really been the requirement. Having 24 hours in a day has never been the requirement. Showing up consistently, that's a requirement. The fourth form of self-sabotage is avoiding the things that scare you and convincing yourself it's simply not your personality. This one's interesting because it's kind of it's true, right? Not everybody wants to dance on TikTok. I don't want to dance on TikTok. Not everybody enjoys being on camera. This is not my favorite thing to do. I have fun with it. I've taught myself how to have fun with it, and I enjoy the results of my work, but the work requires being on camera, so I do it. Yeah. Not everyone wants to be an influencer. Not everyone wants to be a content creator. That's completely fine. But sometimes we say things like, I'm just not someone who shows my face, or I'm not good at talking, or maybe marketing isn't for me, maybe content creation isn't for me, maybe I just should wait until I make enough money to outsource this to someone. And if we're really honest with ourselves, what we're often saying is, I'm scared, I don't know how to do this. One question I sometimes ask myself is, if I knew this would absolutely help my business, would I still be saying it's not for me? Sometimes the answer is genuinely yes, but most often the answer is no. It's simply something that I haven't become comfortable doing yet. It's frustrating that I suck at it, and it's hard to learn. It's hard to overcome this. I think, oh my God, I wish somebody could do this for me. But if I don't have the money to pay that person yet, instead of doing it myself, instead of learning, improving, I'm waiting for the moment when this somehow will magically fix itself. This is something that I've definitely done, okay? Like maybe I will go on YouTube when I have enough money to pay someone to edit my videos. I hate editing videos. This is why all of this editing you're watching here is very simple, because that's the compromise I made with myself. I'm gonna do it myself because I'm not ready to outsource it yet, financially, mentally, emotionally, and in many other ways. But I'm doing this because I want to know how to do this also. And I've chosen the most simple way. My videos are easy. They don't have editing. Yeah. And finally, I think one of the biggest forms of self-sabotage is, forgive me for my language, is half-assing things because it feels emotionally safer than trying your best. I have to add a disclaimer here. I work with perfectionists a lot, and usually what I have to do is convince people to do the opposite, to not go for perfection and to keep things simple, to get them done instead of making them the best version of whatever. So there's definitely a compromise. Definitely a golden middle there somewhere. Content, whatever it is that you're making, it has to be good enough. And sometimes it's not good enough. When people tell themselves that they're keeping it simple, don't bother improving the lighting, don't spend another 10 minutes making the video a little bit better, reshooting it, maybe re-editing, or maybe learning the difference between a good video and a bad video, learning to make the content a little bit more attractive. You don't rewrite the hook, or don't even bother to learn what a hook is. I mean, I love simple content, and I like when people get it done without going crazy about finding a perfect wording or finding a perfect video. But simple and lazy are not the same thing. Sometimes keeping it simple is genuinely strategic, yeah, and sometimes it's a way of protecting yourselves, because if we don't really try, we never have to find out that what would have happened if we had. There's something strangely comforting about being able to say, well, I didn't really put much effort into it anyway. It's much more vulnerable to give something your full attention and 3 hours of time and then discover it still isn't working. Yeah. But actually, where growth happens, we have to try. We have to do better. We have to know when it's enough, when good enough is good enough. So how do we actually stop self-sabotaging? I wish I had a magic answer. I wish I could tell you that after watching this video, you will suddenly become incredibly disciplined and never procrastinate again. Unfortunately, that's not how people work, and you probably will procrastinate. What helped me far more than trying to become a different person overnight is focusing on momentum instead. Instead of deciding that, okay, from tomorrow I'm going to become the most productive artist on the planet, not going to happen. Ask yourself, what's the one tiny thing I can change this week? Let's introduce new habits little by little. So you don't commit to 100 changes from tomorrow, but you can commit to one. So instead of maybe desperately searching for real ideas every morning, you spend one afternoon planning your content for the week. So instead of forcing your brain to be active every morning. You force it to be active once a week, and you schedule those reels, and you don't have to think about them for a week. And that'll be the improvement. Maybe it will be to finally make that video, like to finally make that reel, that idea that you wanted to try, but you've been scared of. Yeah, something like complicated. Maybe you put a limit to your researching or procrastinating and set a timer that after 30 minutes you stop and you actually make something. Yeah. Maybe you test one completely new idea instead of repeating the same one again. Small changes might not feel exciting in the moment, but you know that the habits are built exactly like that, little by little, step by step. And once those little actions become normal, become the habits for you, then the next step becomes easier. Once making reels once a week for a week ahead becomes a good habit for you that you're no longer skipping, you will be able to implement something else. I honestly don't think that artists are lazy. We are creative people. We are by definition not lazy. We want to make things. We want to create things. Our brains are awake all the time. Yeah. We don't lack ambition. We don't lack ideas. We're not incapable of building successful businesses. We're not incapable of being disciplined. We're human, and human beings naturally move towards what feels comfortable. Yeah. This is goddamn comfort zone that everyone talks about. Yeah. The challenge is to get yourself out of there. And every meaningful improvement I've made in my own business has happened shortly after doing something that initially felt awkward, uncomfortable, slightly terrifying. Every time I tried something new, it was surprisingly easy to build on that. Not that I become fearless or something, or I just realized that staying exactly where I was had become more uncomfortable than trying something new. My motivation is always, if I change nothing, nothing will change. So if that's one takeaway from this video that happens, let it be this, okay? The next time your brain gives you a perfectly reasonable explanation for why today isn't the day to post or to email to finally try that new idea, pause for a moment and ask yourself this one question. Is this genuinely protecting me from something important, or is it protecting me from feeling uncomfortable? Two different things, yeah? Learning to recognize that difference might be one of the most valuable skills you'll ever develop, not just as an artist, but also as an entrepreneur or as someone who's trying to build a creative life that's bigger than your fears. I hope this helps. If you feel like it's hard for you to overcome all these habits, overcome all this protective thinking on your own, and you actually need help building your community, building your business, overcoming your fears, building new habits, learning new things, and trying new things, and you could use a community support, I've got a great place for you to join. It's ArtClub. It's a marketing school for artists combined with a supportive community that encourages you and enables you to do things that you never thought you could. So if you're interested in checking it out, you will find the link in the description to this video. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you next Wednesday.